everybody, welcome to Dry Your Days Art Studio. I'm Catherine. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to be working on this 3-tiered cupcake tray. We're going to go through the entire process. If I could just ask you guys to please like, comment, and subscribe if you've been enjoying the videos. It really helps me out and I really appreciate it. So just showing this here in the sunlight, a close-up of all the beautiful sparkle and different colors. And so this is how I started. I took out some of my raw quartz chunks that are available in my store. Everything that I'm going to use today is available at dryyourdaysartstudio.com. I'm sorry my work table is such a mess. This was like my third piece of the day I was working on, and I'm sure you've all experienced this before. Things just got really messy. So I apologize for that in the background. But I'm just placing these quartz chunks where I want to see them. They are pretty big, so we don't need a whole lot of them, and I'm actually going to use my quartz tumbled chips to kind of cascade them down into the resin, as I like to do, to give a nice sloping so we don't have like a really big difference or gap between the large rocks and the resin. And I am going to be using Total Boat's countertop epoxy for these. Whenever I'm making something that's more functional art, like coasters or a tray or something like this where you're going to be using it to place items on, I do prefer to use more of a tabletop epoxy. I just think it's more durable and long lasting, and not to mention heat resistant. Okay, so as I mentioned, just taking some of the quartz tumbled chips and adding them around the edge here. Again, available in my store. I'll link everything for you guys below. I do want to mention today is my last day. I had a flash sale, 30% off all my molds. These molds that I'm working with right here are 30% off right now, only until the end of February 18th. So you don't need a code. It's automatically applied at checkout, and it's a pretty good deal on molds. All right, so we're going to get started with Dusty Rose. This is a color cream pigment paste from my Color Joy line. Beautiful. And you'll notice I have a lot of pigments out here. I like to kind of be prepared and have a lot of different pigments and glitter at the ready in case I kind of am moved in a certain way to bring in a different color or glitter. So I knew I wanted kind of more warm, beautiful pinks and warm whites. And so I have my antique lace. I do have the white color cream because I use that in almost everything. But I brought over some cotton candy glitter, which I will not end up using in this piece. And I'm going to add some light gold shimmer as well to this piece, which I don't have on the table yet. And we're just drizzling some clear over the rocks so that they stay pretty much put. And they have a nice little layer on them. I tried to get kind of behind the stones too, against that outer edge of the mold, just so that it was pretty well saturated and there was resin all in the nooks and crannies. Okay, and here we go with that Dusty Rose. Just following with the shape. And now I'm going to mix up a little bit of antique lace. This is a beautiful color too, really nice off-white, but when you mix it next to other colors, you get some really beautiful effects. You'll see a close-up of the middle tray of this piece at the end in the sunlight, so you can get a really good gauge of how these pigments all look in the sunlight. And this is some of my rose gold mica pigment. Gorgeous. Gorgeous color. This is one of my favorites. Just giving us a nice different pink that also has really nice undertones of gold. Nice warm color. A little tip here too, make sure you don't cover the holes in the middle of these because that is where your hardware is going to go. I've made that mistake before and then had to drill a little hole for myself. Well, I didn't, somebody else did for me. But yeah, I had to drill a hole through the resin so that I could get the hardware in there. So there's these little nubs right in the middle of the mold. So just make sure that you don't cover them with resin and you leave them out. Adding some clear here, just to get some nice marrying effects of all the colors. I like to use the word marrying. It just kind of means it's melding them together, getting a nice flow. And then this is that light gold sparkle right here. Beautiful. It's a mica powder, but it looks like a powdered glitter. It's so beautiful and so fine. And it gives some beautiful sparkle, just drizzling a little bit over the rocks here too. I like to make sure I'm incorporating any texture. you know, it's very different than the rest of the piece. It's clear quartz, it's raw, some of it is tumbled, and so we kind of want to make sure that it is blending into the rest of the piece, so incorporating a little bit of that light gold sparkle that we have in the rest of the trays will help do that. All right, and I always save my white for the very last because I like to get cells and I like to leave them alone so they don't move around too much. So I do my white last. So this is the white color cream pigment paste by my Color Joy line. And I'm just gonna hit with some heat to start breaking it up. This white laces beautifully. You'll see here in a second. It's just stunning. So getting it nice and loose in there. Breaking up any harsh lines. And then we're just gonna give a spritz of rubbing alcohol. Look at that. Sells up right away. So this is how it's sat. I let it sit like this. And I came in about 48 hours later. I wanted to demold it at that point, and I also wanted to let it sit a little bit. I knew I was going to do some gold lines and embellishment, so I wanted to let these really sit and get nice and flat for a while, especially with something bigger like this. You know, resin can take 7 to 30 days to fully cure, so I do like to get it out of the mold and let it really harden up on a flat surface. You know, always be careful demolding like this. Sometimes you'll have sharp edges, and I say this every time because I'll do this without any gloves on if I have like a cute manicure or something, and then I'll end up like slicing my finger. But you can see there's the hole perfectly intact because I didn't cover it. And so yeah, with these molds, the way they are formed, the side facing up is going to be your side facing up on the tray. So just bear that in mind. I knew that going into it when I had my stones. That way I knew my stones would be facing up. That would be pretty cool too, I guess, if you wanted the stones hanging downward. That might be kind of neat. But the way the base mold is set up is you kind of need that one as your bottom because that one has the fitting of the hardware piece coming up from underneath. And you'll see, I'll put it together here in a second for you. All right, so we're gonna let this sit. All right, and here I am a couple days later using my gold metallic markers. Love these. This is a beautiful antique gold color. I thought it would be perfect for this with the nice warm colors we have going on in there. And you can see, look at those cells, how they stayed in that white, just simply beautiful. That white pigment is just phenomenal. Not to toot my own horn, but I love it. All right, just adding a few embellishments, and now we're gonna add the hardware. I do have the hardware available in my store in gold, silver, and black. And these are really easy to put together. I do recommend, if you have a screwdriver, to gently get this bottom one in nice and snug. Now don't overdo it because, again, another tip I've learned with these is if you tighten it too tight and you go to like loosen it up later, you want to take it apart. If this bottom one is way too tight with that screw in it, this hardware piece right here could snap right off, and then you are stuck because now your hole is ruined because it pulled out the screw and essentially the hardware around it. So I have had this happen to me before. You know, kind of doing it this way, you don't get it quite tight enough. So I do take a screwdriver and just tighten it slightly, but again, not so tight that you're really using your strength to tighten it really, 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 really tight. It doesn't have to be that tight. Did I say tight enough? I don't know. I don't know. It's the end of the day, guys. I'm doing this voiceover. I hope I'm not boring you to tears. I love putting these together, though. It's so fun, like, seeing your art finally come together and the demolding. It's a really fun part of the resin artwork. Sometimes I get a little impatient and I want things to demold or cure quicker, but it's important to have patience with this art form. Yep, and then here I'm just kind of tightening it, but positioning the plates so that all the rocks are kind of right on top of each other. That's how I wanted their placement. Once again, this has cured for quite a while because I wanted to make sure nothing was going to snap. You want to make sure, too, that these plates are really, really cured because I know some of you have contacted me that sometimes you see the resin almost bending or your trays bending, etc. And again, sometimes it does take a full 30-day cure time. If I am shipping something out like coasters or something like that, I'll even include a note that, you know, these are not fully cured for 30 days. Here's your 30-day date. I recommend you leave them flat, you know, because they could bend or warp. Again, look at my table. Yeah, I need an assistant or something. But here we go. We've got it all together. And I was going to show you a close-up here at the end. You can really see the sparkle on those crystal quartz raw stones. That's where I drizzled over that light gold sparkle. And they're just glistening and beautiful. And those white cells are perfectly intact. Beautiful. I think the gold hardware was paired perfectly with these. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you did. It really helps me out. And I appreciate you guys watching so much. Come find me over on Instagram at Dryer Days. I'm on TikTok too, but I'm pretty amateur at it. But if you want to come check that out, it's pretty comical. So anyway, thank you again so much for watching, everybody. And until next time, keep on pouring.